Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Emma Lefebvre, and today I'm going to tell you why I think that every watercolor artist needs at least one tube of gouache. So let's jump in and get started. Okay friends, so you heard me right. I said I think every watercolor artist needs to own at least one tube of gouache, and that color is white. And I'm going to give you a few different ways that you can use this to your benefit with watercolor painting. So the first one I'm going to tell you about is one that I'm experiencing right now. I have this beautiful Art Car Creations sketchbook that I have painted in, things for myself that I've just really enjoyed creating. And I recently did a page that I did not like. I did some flowers, and so I got frustrated, and then I decided to paint over it with some dark green because I don't want to rip it out. I have a painting on the back that I enjoy, and I don't want to waste the paper as well. I want this to be a sketchbook full of joy and happiness, and I don't want to have to look at a page that I did that I really don't like. So I covered it with dark green. But as you guys know, watercolor is a transparent medium. I cannot layer light colors on top of this dark color, and the dark color was the only thing that was going to cover mostly of what I painted underneath. So in that situation, something really handy to have is an opaque medium like gouache. So for those of you who don't know, gouache is kind of like if acrylic paint and watercolor had a baby. So it's opaque like an acrylic paint, and it dries nice and matte, but it can also be reactivated with water like watercolor, which acrylic can't. So I've even put a little bit of this gouache paint, which is from Shinhan, into my palette here, and it's nice and dry. Like you can't, it's not like a liquid paint right now, but just like watercolor, I can reactivate it and use it very simply. So it's a really nice kind of paint to have. Now, there are tons of gouache artists out there that use gouache instead of watercolor, and I don't tend to go that way. I love the look of gouache, but I find it a little bit frustrating to work with just because it's a little bit different than watercolor. But it does come in handy if you mix gouache with watercolor. Yes, you can mix the two together. So you can create your own kind of colors of gouache using this tube of white gouache. So the only thing you'll have to keep in mind is that white added to any of these colors is going to make it more of a pastel color. So you're not going to get those bright, vibrant colors by adding and mixing a white gouache with your yellows or your greens. It's going to be a pastel kind of look to it, which is fine. And if I'm just trying to, create something over this, that's what I'm going to go with. So today I am going to paint over this using gouache to mix with my watercolors to create something that I hopefully will like, because so far I am not very satisfied with what I did here. So I do have some gouache in my palette as it is. Now what I have to think about is what I want to create. I have this cute little loose wildflower scene here, and in this book so far I've kind of tried to keep them on theme with each other, so they kind of, I don't know, complement each other. So that's why I did the dark green to kind of match this. So maybe I can do some sort of wildflower-esque painting over top. Okay, so I'm going to try and keep with the same colors that I have on the other side. I want to make sure I have my paper towel here. And we're ready to go. So I think I'm going to start off with some of the, I don't know all the names of the wildflowers, but there's like that chicory, is that what it's called? It's like those really beautiful kind of like lavendery colors. So I already have a lavender here, and it's actually mixed with white watercolor. So it's a bit more on the opaque side. So I might actually just try and see what this color looks like on its own, because it does have a bit of an opaqueness to it already. See that already? There are some watercolors that are opaque, which is handy. Okay, So I'm just going to do these little kind of flowers like this. Like so. I'm going to try and bring it a little bit more into the middle. And they're kind of like on a stalk. I'm going to do another one. And I'm really hoping this kind of saves this page. Sorry if you can hear kids screaming in the background. I live across the street from a park. So that's what you're going to get. And it's camp outside. Okay. I'm going to do another one. Like so. Like that. And then maybe just like a little bit of one up here. And then down here. We could just fill the whole page with this, let's be honest. And I haven't even used the white gouache yet. So one thing, if you are new to watercolor and say you buy tubes, what I would do is check the back of your tubes, because some of them do have like a transparency rating or opaqueness to them. And most tubes will let you know in their specifications. So this is opaque, but it's not completely opaque. You'll see as it starts to dry, it's going to fade a little bit. That's when I can add some white to my lavender color or even to my ultramarine and get the same kind of hue as this, okay? But now let's actually use the gouache. So I'm going to do, let's see, maybe like some little buttercups or something. So I'm just going to grab a bunch of my white. I know it's hard to see here. Hold on. I want to make sure you guys can see. And you can use the gouache straight out of the tube if you like. It will be a little bit easier to mix the consistency once you kind of reactivate it. It's a little bit harder to get that really nice thick consistency, but it still does work for sure. So see how the opaqueness of this already? I'm going to do like little yellow flowers like this. And then I'm going to show you how you can layer some of those brighter colors over top to make them look a bit more vibrant. Because the white of the gouache is kind of letting down that base of opaqueness, so you can kind of put a little bit more vibrancy over top of them. Okay. So it just comes in super, super handy. Do a couple more here. Now I feel like I should have come up with a bit more of a better composition, which I did not, but that's okay. Okay. So you can even just add a little bit more white to it, and then we can paint over it to get some more vibrant colors. But gouache really is a great medium for this. Okay. Let's do some of those, like, I don't know what they're called, but they're pretty. So I'm going to grab a bunch more white and I'm going to make kind of like a magenta purple. So I'm going to grab some pink, grab a little bit of purple like that. And I'm going to do some of those like cone, I don't even know what they're called. They're like these rounded little like gumdrop shaped flowers. Add a little bit more white to them. Because then, like I said, we can make it darker once it's dried and we can paint over top. I'm going to do some little spikes on them. Like that. And then even with the green, I'm going to mix some of the gouache with my green to get like that. Maybe I'll start doing little stems. I probably should put greenery on the other ones too, eh? Like that. And then we can even add a bit more green there. Doesn't have to be super, super light. Okay, so these ones. But yeah, essentially you're making your own colors of like pastel gouache just by adding white to your watercolor, which is great because if you like gouache and you want to try it out, you can really just make your own and then, you know, just kind of see what happens there. So just a little tip for you. Let's do some little connecting stems here. Like that. Like that. And then I think the last one I'm going to do is like daisies, because those are white and that should be fairly easy to do. Okay. I'm actually going to do a big leaf here. Okay. Let's do some daisies. First I'm going to do the yellow kind of center here. Like that. We'll do 3. Like that, and then like this. All right, then I can just take the white gouache and just create my little petals. That. And like that. Okay. So I'm going to let a bunch of this dry and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go over top to make some of it more vibrant. We're just going to go over top of the white gouache just because it will help having that kind of white base. And while we're doing that, let me just talk to you a little bit about other uses for white gouache. So one thing I like using it for too is if I'm painting like a winter landscape, you know, I mean, this isn't a winter landscape, but I'll use it for little specks of snow. This isn't snow, but like just like little flurries like that, which I thought would actually add something nice to this painting. And honestly, another use, using it to fix other mistakes. So we fixed this mistake of the original painting that I didn't want there, but there have been times where I have actually taken white gouache and say I don't like a little area on my painting, I will literally just kind of paint over it using it like, you know, whiteout almost. So it's such a handy thing to have and it just totally goes right over top of it. So you can use it for nice little white embellishments and highlights on some of your paintings. You know what I mean? If you want a little bit of highlight to some of them, it's just having that opaque white highlight is great. In watercolor, traditionally, what most, you know, serious watercolor artists will tell you, which clearly I'm not super serious about this because I don't follow all the rules. When you want to have white to your painting, you will mask it with either masking fluid or paint around it. So you are preserving the white of the paper. That is the traditional way to do it. They will even tell you don't own white watercolor. But I think there is a benefit to, you know, just for convenience, but also I just love the way that sometimes it looks like to have little bits of white highlight on something that you don't have to use masking fluid or paint around and stress yourself out. So this is a little hack that I love using. And I definitely suggest, you know, investing in 1 tube of good white gouache and it will get you so many different benefits with watercolor. Okay, so Now that this is dry, I am going to go over top. I'm going to do it as a time lapse because I don't want to make this video too long. But you can see how I add a bit more detail to this painting using the base of the white gouache to make it a little bit more vibrant and detailed. So let's do it. And there you go. So there is a way that you can kind of fix your painting, use gouache as a tool to, you know, benefit your watercolors. This makes me feel better having this in my my book now rather than the painting that was there before. I'm just gonna do some like grass or something just to kind of have something come out from the bottom, but I'm much happier with it now. But I just wanted to share how I use gouache, not just for painting gouache paintings, which I said before, you know, I found a little bit more difficult. But if you are interested in trying gouache without buying like a whole set, you can always just buy that one tube and create your own gouache with the colors you have from your watercolors already. So I hope that was informative and you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.